In today's news, police amounts 2 arrested for biggest drug bust in BVI history.
And Dr. Kedick Pickering says that both governments dropped the ball as it relates to determining what our independence should cost us. All that and so much more when 284 News returns.
How does financial services benefit the BVI? It's been around for more than 3 decades before the World Wide Web and is now part of the everyday life of our islands. More than 2,200 people are directly employed in financial services, and another 3,000 jobs are supported indirectly. Jobs are corporate service providers, lawyers, insolvency, accounting, banking, insurance, regulators. That's almost 27% of the national workforce. Of those, more than 65% are BVI landers and belongers. What about restaurants, supermarkets, or shops? Well, 100% of people eat. So, they buy food. They buy swimsuits and shampoo and cars and power tools and plantains and fish and roti and pates. Financial services employees buy painkillers and lots of beer. Then there's electricity and dental floss and toilet paper and pretty much everything else. And everyone needs a roof over their heads and a place to do business, so we all rent or buy from a local landlord. Housing and office space alone means millions of dollars into the pockets of BVI families. At the end of the day, everyone benefits, including charities who receive thousands of dollars every year. And more than 60% of all government revenues come from fees paid by financial services. This money is spent on schools, roads, ports, scholarships, the environment, health, sports, children, youths, and the elderly. Financial services contributes more than $290 million to the BVI economy. That's more than 30% of all economic activity is driven by financial services. This creates thousands of jobs all across the islands, meaning more people have a way to earn a living. What does financial services do for the BVI? Let's just say it keeps our lights on. Financial services is everybody's business. So, come on, mind your business and let's not keep this to ourselves.
Viewers, welcome to 284 News. It is Tuesday, November 10th, 2020. We're so happy to be joining you today. My name is Javon Wilson.
And I am Kyla Kenesha Forbes. We're just so happy to be joining you. As you said, Javon, we have so much to get into as so much has developed over the course of the day. And we'll just jump right into our news summary. Now, the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force has been busy at work over the weekend and well into earlier this week. We see where yesterday there was a seizure of $99,000, Javon. So we have a little bit of that information in our newscast today. But one of the biggest stories coming out of this evening's newscast is the fact that a serving police officer was implicated in the largest drug seizure in BVI history. That happened, that seizure happened on Friday, yes, the 6th of November. So we have all those details for the general public here in the BVI. But just on a lighter note, yes, some lighter things because so much is happening. But in the world, we see where the word lockdown, we've heard so much of this word here in the COVID-19 era and just across this whole year. And lockdown was announced the word of the year by the Collins English Dictionary. So just some fun facts as we just dip that in there into the stiffness of this newscast.
Absolutely. We are also talking about the Gold Seal training today. Lots of persons questioning what happens to those tourism professionals who were not trained within this season but want to get back to work. Today we are speaking to Ms. Keisha Davis Barnes. She's the director at the Culinary and Hospitality Studies Department at HLSCC. Of course, she's in charge of that program. Also, on a lighter note, JetBlue had its inaugural flight to St. Thomas recently directly from the JFK airport. So that's a big deal as we head back into some level of normalcy as it relates to the tourism industry. And also from the USVI as well, a U.S. Virgin Islander woman with ties to the BVI. She has been appointed on Joe Biden's COVID-19 task force. So those are just some of the things topping our headlines today. But we're going to head straight into our newscast.
Most definitely. Now, as I said earlier today, we saw where the police commissioner, Mr. Michael Matthews, and the governor of the Virgin Islands, Governor Augustus Jaspert, in a joint press conference, divulged the details of a major drug bust. Now, on Friday, the 6th of November, 2020, the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force conducted a covert operation due to a search warrant. The operation was carried out at a residence in the Balsam Gut area. Now, after searching the premises, a large quantity of illegal drugs and 2 illegal firearms were discovered. What was reported as the largest drug seizure in BVI history, and some persons are even saying by a UK led force. The Royal Virgin Islands Police Force discovered 2,353 kilos of cocaine. That is actually 2.3 metric tons of cocaine. Now, the drugs found has a street value of $250 million, Javon. Now, persons were seen flooding the scenes by the authorities at the time of the bust, but subsequently, those 2 persons were arrested. The 2 individuals were 2 brothers, Liston Davies, which is 40, and Darren Davies, which is 41. Now, Commissioner of Police Mr. Michael Matthews confirmed that Mr. Darren Davies was a serving police officer of the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force for just over 20 years. Now, the 2 brothers were charged with offenses: the possession of a controlled drug with intent to supply, 3 counts each, and possession of an illegal firearm. Now, Javon, this is just a big story coming out today as out of this joint press conference, but those are some big numbers that we're hearing as it pertains to the amount of cocaine that was found on location during this search warrant.
And it's a major deal for the Virgin Islands when you think about the fact that the governor of the Virgin Islands, Governor J. Jaspert, alluding to the fact that this essentially can cover 75%, the street value of the cocaine found can cover 75% of our budget, that $250 million, the largest drug bust in the BVI. The governor also said possibly one of the largest that the UK has ever seen as well. So it really speaks volumes, but really exposing quite a number of things here, Kyla. First of all, I think COVID-19 and by default the restrictions, borders being closed, has brought to halt a lot of the transnational and trans-regional illegal activities and the organized crime we've seen, not just in the BVI but across the world.
Yes.
So a lot of those operations have been brought to a halt, and a lot of persons are now being exposed because of the COVID-19 restrictions. So what it has done essentially is placed a microscope over what the true reality of the situation is. But it really highlights the heightened need for us to continue to protect our borders. And clearly we see here, it's not just from persons infecting us with COVID-19. Clearly, there is a war on drugs and crime in the BVI. And now more than ever, we need to, like the governor said, tighten up on that security. I'm really happy to see also coming out of this story, the commissioner and the governor as well, of course, who are leading the charge for security, highlighting the need for us to bring in external experts to investigate these type of situations. Because just recently at the Virgin Islands Constitution Forum, Kyla, that you and I were privy to listen to, Ms. Archibald made reference to the fact that there needs to be some reform in the judiciary system because of how closely knitted we are and how small we are as a community. A lot of us are interconnected, and sometimes that corrupts the process. Similarly with the police officers, we have to ensure that we have persons who are policing the police, because this is a crazy situation. And Honorable Julian Fraser referenced this earlier this year, a few months ago. He mentioned that the third pillar, the third economy, is challenged. And he even said some persons are coming to him and acknowledging that, you know, a lot of them are in trouble. So we cannot pretend like this is not happening in the community.
Javon, this have arisen even before when I sat down with Commissioner Matthews. That question arose: who is really policing the police officers? And now we see firsthand where as you said, something has to be done. And now the governor and Commissioner Matthews are saying, hey, there might be some allegations of corruption within the force and even maybe higher ups. And this is definitely something that we have to look into. So I think this is not just a big story because of the numbers, but what the things that it really unveils.
And one of the challenging parts about this situation also is the fact that it further disintegrates the relationship between the police and the community.
Most
How
definitely.
can we trust the police if the police is, embedded in corruption?
Most
so
definitely.
it's just a really tough pill for all of us to swallow. The community, I'm sure the police commissioner and the governor as well, who's leading the charge for COVID-19, but I think by the fall of the BVI, this is definitely a big hit.
Most definitely. And also, more to report. Reports reaching our newsroom reported that individuals were rescued by authorities from a go-fast boat which capsized in the middle of the ocean. Now, during this rescue mission, approximately $99,000 were discovered aboard the vessel. Now, this report was confirmed by Commissioner of Customs, Mr. Wade Smith. Now, Mr. Wade Smith explained that investigations are ongoing as the two individuals are now in the custody of the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force. So as I said before, Javon, so much has happened over the weekend and well into the beginning of this week, and so much just to look at and to look about.
Yeah, definitely. But viewers, we have to move right along. Now, as we near the December 1st grand reopening of the BVI's borders, the question of readiness continues to come up. Now, in an effort to prepare workers to re-enter the tourism industry with health and safety at its core, the government of the Virgin Islands has designed what they're calling a Gold Seal training program, which provides training for businesses and their employees. Now, 1,000 spots were paid for by government, most of which were already filled. But the question remains, what happens to the rest of the industry who want to return to work but may not be able to train due to the training period being closed off? Now, to answer some of those questions today, we caught up with Mrs. Keisha Davis Barnes. She is the hospitality professional spearheading the training program. So listen in. Hi viewers, we are here with the director of the Culinary and Hospitality Studies Department at the H. Lavity Style Community College, the person spearheading the Gold Seal Training Initiative for the Virgin Islands to reopen come December 1st. So thank you so much, first of all, for joining us.
You're welcome. Hi, Javon. How are you?
I am doing excellent. So, Ms. Barnes, lots of questions as we prepare for the grand reopening come December 1st. One of the areas we're looking at is training and whether persons will be in a state of readiness once we reopen on December 1st. So let's just speak to the program generally. How has it been going so far?
It has been going really well, Javon. We have over 3,000 persons that have already registered, and I wanted to clear up some misconceptions that people might have out there. The Gold Seal Initiative, there are 3 options that persons can choose from in order for them to receive a Gold Seal. Option number 1 is a Gold Seal COVID-19 training that is conducted through the BVI Tourist Board and Aquila. To get registered for that particular Gold Seal training, it's training at bvitourism.com or 852-6020. That's option number 1. Option number 2 is a Gold Seal certification program that's facilitated by HLSCC. Now, the difference is that, yes, you are going to have the COVID-19 training before the certification program, but the certification program at HLSCC is designed for professionals to build on their platform in terms of being certified within their area of expertise. We have trainings to managers, kitchen cooks, restaurant servers, front desk representatives, and guest room attendants. That's option number 2. Option number 3 is the Gold Seal COVID-19 officer training that is also you register through the BVI Tourist Board at training@bvitourism.com.
And that would be like for the person who's designated to lead the protocols, overlook all the COVID-19 protocols and so on.
Right, that person is trained in the event that there is an outbreak on a large property, that they're the point person. They know about the PPEs, they know about the temperatures, they know exactly what needs to happen in the event that we have an outbreak on the properties.
All right, so I know from inception, the government of the Virgin Islands sponsored 1,000 spots, and I think that's where some of the misconception comes, because we know 1,000 spots isn't merely enough to cover our hospitality professionals across the board. So outside of those spots that I'm assuming were already filled, what happens to the other persons who want to get back to work or may not be able to do so based on what we're hearing?
Okay, for clarification, the 1,000 spots is for the certification program. I spoke about 3 options. All of the other options are also free. The certification programs are where the 1,000 persons fall in that category. Everybody else will be facilitated for free through the BVI Tourist Board in Aquila. So, for the certification part of it, we're close to the 1,000. So we have been doing registration since October 5th when we launched the program. So a lot of persons have been registering. We have both online and face-to-face. Right now, we are closing up the face-to-face component and opening online. We have over 576 persons registered for the online platform across all of the disciplines, which is a part of the 1,000.
All right, and just before we go, persons have said we have called, we have been told next year. Speak to that situation for me specifically, because one of the concerns is that persons will not be able to register, get trained and certified in order to return to work. And this is businesses as well as employees alike. Based on what you're saying today, training is ongoing.
Yes, training and development is an ongoing thing, Javon. In any industry, we have to take professional development very important, more so now in the hospitality industry. And I want persons to understand that this platform that's created through the American Hotel Lodging Educational Institute is designed to ensure that persons have a career path that's a certification career path. So our overall goal is for managers are going to be trained on the 24th of November using an online platform. We are building a database for managers to be able to come back in January to do a train-the-trainer program, because a train-the-trainer program will ensure that we have trainers in the industry that will be able to facilitate for our line-level employees so that we would be able to ensure that we up our service excellence.
Excellent. So viewers, you heard it from the director of the culinary and hospitality department studies here at HLSCC. Of course, she's in charge of the Big Gold Seal program that we've all been talking about. And like you heard, contrary to what we've been hearing, that training will be cut off and persons will not be able to return to work. Based on what Ms. Davis-Barnes is saying today, it is ongoing and you still have that opportunity. Thank you so much for clarifying and, of course, making time to sit with us today.
You're welcome, Javon, and I thank you for taking the time out to come and have this conversation. And I want the persons in the Virgin Islands to understand that sometimes you are calling, we are here, and we will get to you. I spoke to the Director of Tourism, Mr. Clive McCoy, that said to me that persons that have not yet received their registration information, you are not left out. We are not leaving any stones unturned, and we know that we have a lot of persons in the industry. And Javon, I think 3,000 plus persons registered already speaks significance to the Gold Seal program. And I want all of us to understand that, COVID-19 is not going anywhere, and we have to ensure that we stay safe and we stay ready. December 4th is around the corner, yes, but that doesn't mean that we're going to stop training and development in this territory, because it has to happen now, right?
All right. That was Ms. Keisha Davis-Barnes. Viewers, thank you so much for joining us. Kyle, I'm really happy to see us being able to clarify with Ms. Davis-Barnes what the criterias are. Not only that, who gets in on this program, because as like she said, there are 3 aspects to this program, and you may not be able to get into one, but there are two other aspects where you can be able to train. And initially what we were hearing is that there's 1,000 spots. Now, Ms. Davis-Barnes has said over 3,000 persons have registered, and the training is actually ongoing. As a matter of fact, they are now training persons who can then retrain the rest of the populace. So this will be an ongoing thing. Clearly, persons, even if you don't make that 1,000 batch, which has been filled already, you still have the opportunity to receive your certification and get back to work, because we have been waiting for a very long time for that.
Most definitely.
All right, viewers, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, but when we come back, the talk on independence continues, and former legislator Dr. Kedick Pickering have said both the NDP as well as the VIP have dropped the ball as it relates to determining what the cost of independence is, and the Immigration Act has been revised to now allow custom officers to fine illegal immigrants. All that and so much more when 284 News returns.
The win! Oh!
What are the hell?
I'm freaking out!
Is time.
284 News.
Coming to you live and direct from the beautiful British Virgin Islands.
What's poppin', what's really good, what's happening, what's up?
Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. Now, constitutional reform, a hot topic at the forefront as we try to determine what a more self-governing BVI looks like. Well, coming out of a spirited panel discussion on constitutional reform hosted at HLSCC, former legislator Dr. Kedick Pickering has said determining the cost of the BVI's independence is long overdue, a task he believes successive governments have failed to accomplish. Now, this was in response to a question posed on whether it is time for the territory to issue a referendum to determine the public's opinion on independence. If you missed it, listen in.
I will have to agree with Mr. Smith. I mean, it's a conversation that has to be had, and it's a question of the timing, and if it's the timing is now to have a referendum, then so be it, but it has to happen. I think in addition to that, though, based on my previous experience, the British government have always been very clear about their position. Independence is an option for all of the overseas territories once it is the constitutionally expressed desire of the population. They've been very clear about that. And one of the steps that are necessary would be the referendum. But I will also add that both governments, since the 2007 Constitution, have dropped the ball, because coming out of the unfinished business of 2007 was the fact that a committee was supposed to have been established that was going to be charged with the responsibility of looking at the costs of going into independence. And that process, both governments have dropped the ball on it, because we should have been at the point now where what Mr. Smith is saying, that where we were actually ready for a referendum on the issue, and we've lost the momentum on that.
Now, the moderator, Mr. Jamal Smith, who is also the chairman of the Labor Arbitration Tribunal, also shared a similar sentiment, but this time challenging the government to present other options to the territory that we can explore outside of independence. So listen in.
You quickly answer that in one word, and the answer to that would be yes. Simply just asking the question and putting the question to the public is a must. I don't think that whether we are, whatever our view might be, the public, must get a sense of where the public is on the question of independence. And so putting that question in a referendum is something that needs to happen. Puerto Rico has had several. We've seen, I don't see why we can't have a referendum on that simple question. But that said, the question of maturity, I don't think that independence should be the only option. I think we need to put several options on the table because as Dr. George has said, it's not the only option. And we keep hearing this, and people keep thinking that the only way out of what we have is independence, and that's not true. We need to get the public to understand that there are various other options out there, and we need to give them an opportunity to respond.
Now, the other panelists, Dr. Richard Georges, as well as Ms. Patricia Archibald Bowers, as well as the moderator, Mr. Jamal Smith, they all contended that the walk to independence must be in direct consultation with the people of the Virgin Islands. And Kyla, I think that is a sentiment that we can all agree to when we think about the word independence. It continues to come up, especially in light of the spat we've seen recently between the government of the Virgin Islands as well as the governor. Some persons are of the opinion that, you know, the British overseas territories, especially because we are dependents of the United Kingdom, some persons think that we are not receiving as much assistance as we need. Then on this other side of the coin, you have persons who have essentially lost trust in the government. And that is because of, I guess, some malpractices that we've seen over the years. And this is not just current government. This is successive governments. I think governance across the board. So persons are fearful that if we are to walk towards that path, the path of independence, that there will be lots of corruption within the government. But we cannot also negate a cross-section of the community who thinks that we are not ready, because you have to be in a state of readiness economically, socially, before you even get to that point. So lots to consider when we think about independence. But nevertheless, Kyla, I do believe, like all the panelists have said in this discussion, that it is time for us to at least have the discussion.
Most definitely. As you mentioned that, I remember in the House of Assembly when they had the debates towards the Constitution, I remember Honorable Mark Vanterpool bringing this up. Why does the people feel as though we need to be policed by someone else? We need to have that conversation with ourselves. And how can we hold our legislation and our legislators more accountable? And he said that, and I remember that very much so. So I do think, as you said, there are conversations that need to be had. Nothing is wrong with having the conversation. We might not be quite there yet, but to know where we are going, we have to know where we are.
We have to begin now.
And we have to begin that process.
Absolutely.
Most definitely. Now, Javon, before we close out, and viewers, we have a few more stories for you, but of course you can catch them on the website. But before we go, this last story, in a government issued press release, the Immigration and Passport Act will be revised and amended to align with international standards and best practices, and to ensure that the legislation is in keeping with the transformation plan for the Department of Immigration. Now, this announcement was made in the first sitting of the third session of the Fourth House of Assembly on Thursday, November 5th, where His Excellency the Governor Augustus Jasper delivered the speech from the throne during the Government of the Virgin Islands legislative agenda. Now, the press release revealed the changes to the act will include having a variety of systems online, which will have results in the Immigration Department being more effective and efficient, giving the department the power to charge compound fees on persons who enter the country illegally without having to take them to court, and amending the immigration policy to allow longer stay for investors in an effort to attract more business to the British Virgin Islands. So, Javon, this is just a few things that we would see within the amended Immigration Act. We have so much to just dissect what this may mean, what these few sections being amended to this act may mean for the British Virgin Islands. So, of course, we here at 284 will be dissecting that a bit more, but we are running out of time.
Yes, but before we go, we were supposed to mention that the U.S. Virgin Islander, Miss Marcella Nunes Smith, of course, the woman that we've been so proud of and touting about, she also has BVI ties. She will now be on President-elect Joe Biden's COVID-19 task force. big moment for the Virgin Islands. I think really speaking to the possibilities that we have, our capability, but really the possibilities, Kyla, that small island men and women can go to far places. We're going to follow up more with this story later in the week. But viewers, for now, that is all the time we have. So my name is Javon Wilson.
And I am Kyla Kenesha Forbes. Of course, join us tomorrow for your daily dose of local, regional, and international content right here on 284 News. Have a great evening.
Goodbye.